hard to believe that 9/11 happened 20 years ago this week. For several members of Mobile Fire Rescue, their memories are still raw. They rushed to New York City immediately after the attack. WKRG's Devin Walsh went to New York with them to highlight their efforts to help their fellow first responders.
The horror at Ground Zero in New York City is hard to imagine. My photographer and I, Randy Lowe, just came from Ground Zero, and what we saw is...
It's been 20 years.
They're steady pulling bodies out and body parts.
But 2 decades later, the memories quickly come back.
Since then, I've had incidents of probably PTSD, where I just started thinking about, wow, did I do that?
It was very surreal.
It was a terrible tragedy. Terrible tragedy.
Mobile Fire Medic Tony Rutland and Mobile Fire Rescue Medical Director Dr. John McMahon reflect on their time on the Gulf Coast Disaster Medical Assistance Team. They answered the call to provide medical assistance to first responders at Ground Zero.
It was back when everybody had pages, and I had to page 911. Nobody even knew what was going on. We was getting our stuff actually ready to go when the second plane hit. And then you see the second plane hit and you're already activated. You're like, dude, what are we going into? You know, we don't have weapons. I mean, how far is this going to go?
The minute they arrive at their command center, they disperse into groups.
WKRG highlighted their heroic efforts working out of a makeshift medical clinic at the foot of what everyone called the pile.
A lot of them people, they're imploded. You know, they just demolished. The only thing in that pile down there is steel.
I even had to wear protective equipment because the pile was still burning. It was hard for me to even describe what I was seeing as our local men and women worked around the clock to help.
The pile was probably 150, not quite 200 feet high. It was huge. And it burned. I think the total length of time it burned was about 4.5, 5 months before they finally got it out.
It was hard work for our first responders, but when we were there, they never complained. One
was a woman who was a foreman on a construction crew who had on wet boots for 5 consecutive days, and she had trench foot. Her skin was literally falling off her feet.
Rutland says his experience at Ground Zero has never left him.
The World Trade Center ribbon was given to me by New York, and I take pride in that.
He still wears a World Trade Center pin that he received 20 years ago.
A lot of young guys like, hey man, what does that stand for? I was like, it's the World Trade Center. Why do you wear that? Because I was there. Really? Really?
When they see pictures and videos from that day, they feel humbled that they could play a small part in the efforts to help the people of New York City.
The people were very, very friendly towards us, knowing that what we were doing, trying to help the people working on the pile.
9/11 means a lot to me. That day means a lot to me. My daughter, from the time that happened, she's texted me, Daddy, thinking about you. Yeah, so it's serious business. It's a highlight of a career to go up there and help so many people. I mean, we were just there to help.
And they say if they were called up again, they wouldn't hesitate to help.
How long were you on air for?
16 days.
With photojournalist Arnell Hamilton, I'm Devin Walsh, WKRG News 5.